Greetings, ladies and gentle cars. Excuse me. And yes, right immediately you're greeted with a cough. I'm back after 2 weeks break. Well, thanks to COVID and whatnot. You might hear me a bit horsey and whatnot, but things happen in real life. I think that's a good break. And now let's get into the last few setups that we have remaining on the F123 game. Like we all know, the real life calendar, the real life season is over. So we will last at Vegas. I miss Abu Dhabi setup, which will be probably in a week or two. And well, Jeddah is one of the 6 remaining tracks that we have. So to all of you who have been waiting for this, thank you for your patience, thank you for waiting, thank you for understanding as well. Now let's get into the setup around here. So for Jeddah, there are 3 long DRS straights, one being the one on the pit straight, that's the first one, and then 2 on the, you can consider 2 back straights leading to the main straight. So that's basically 3 DRS zones back to back to back, and you'll need quite a bit of top speed in order to make an overtake, as well as defending from an overtake, maybe last lap battles and whatnot. And also you'll need quite a bit of cornering speed in sector 1, because without that your car is going to be a boat, and if you lose all the time in sector 1, it doesn't matter. If you're on the same age tires, eventually you're going to fall behind someone quite easily in sector 1. So you need a bit of downforce, and you need a bit of top speed as well, and a compromise of, well, something like 30-24 wings. It's what I came up with, and there's a few iterations of this as well. I've tried in an online session in a GP mode. Day to day, sometimes you feel a bit different, sometimes you feel the car a bit more, sometimes less, so you can adjust this around on the front wing depending on how much front pointiness you want. You can go up, you can go down. I recommend definitely staying within the same range. Otherwise, just leave it as it is. The rear wing though, if you want a bit more top speed overall on the straights, you can definitely go down by 2 clicks or 1 click even. That will be very good actually. And the lowest I've tried that really feels comfortable in an online session, if you're in a DRS train, is 26, 20, so just going 4 clicks lower. Excuse me. And yeah, otherwise, just keep it as it is. You're going to be good. There's really no chance of rain in Jeddah. If there is, then you can always go a bit higher downforce. Now, heading into transmission, normally you'll see me doing 55, 51, but again, this is time trial. The conditions are a bit different. It feels a bit understeery and oversteery at some places. So I've gone with 50-50 here. But for the actual qualifying and a race session, I preferred 55 on throttle, just so it doesn't spin out the race too much, and 51 off throttle for the race just does the job really nicely to stop you from sliding too much, and even locking up the rears. Stops you from locking up the rears if your brake bar is a bit too rearwards. It prevents that little bit of handbrake effect. You don't want to go too high on the off throttle once again, otherwise that's going to induce a lot of understeer in the car, and you're going to be losing more time than you actually probably will gain in any way. So there you go, 55-51 will be the way you want to go for a race session. 60 also works once you're in the race and the tires really start to go off, but it's mainly the fronts that you have to take care of. Don't scrub them too much, and don't spin out the rears too much as well on acceleration zones. Right, left geometry, the easiest way to set up your car, and pretty much the easiest and fastest way to get lap time out of your car. If you take the default setup and then you just put this to right, left, you can easily gain about half a second to almost a second depending on the track. Now let's go to suspension. It seems like more of an emerging trend, or something that I really start to like with the suspension setup. I find this really working in all track conditions as well. So I'll probably make a baseline setup like at the end of this series, so you guys can work with that. So that is going to be 41 front suspension, very stiff, and then 5 rear suspension, very soft, and then 1 on the roll bars, just to allow the car to rotate. Going soft on the front allows the front to be more pointy, but you have to be careful. If the car is a bit snappy, you feel like on power or like mid corner it's just a little bit unstable, you can always increase the front anti-roll bar to 3, 4, maybe just one at a time, that should be okay. You don't need to go any higher than 5, 6, 7, 8 or anything. So just leave it as it is. Rear anti-roll bar, I'll definitely recommend keeping this at 1 at all conditions, so that it does not over rotate the rears. You definitely can gain a little bit of time in qualifying. If you have park firmly turned off, then probably go for it. You can find a little bit of time, but not too much anyway. The higher you go, the more the rear tends to rotate, and it may over rotate if you overdo it. A lot of overs over there. Now let's head to the ride height. So things that worked for me is between 33 and 34 front ride height. I couldn't you know, settle on either of it because both felt pretty good. The 34 felt a bit more unnecessary for obvious reasons, like you're raised, the car is a little bit more raised. It felt better when you have like a heavy car with heavy fuel, and then lower ride height, it works much nicer in qualifying because, you know, you have more grip anyway, so you can handle all that extra grip. But even in the race, you know, both are feasible. So you can go with 33, 34 is a bit safer, and then on the rear 39 is just nice. You know, given that the rear suspension is pretty soft, you have to raise the rear ride height a little bit. So 38 and 39 is sort of the sweet spot here. I went to 37 and immediately I started spinning with 5 rear suspension. If you want to go lower on the rear ride height, you have to increase your rear suspension. That's one tip that you always have to remember. So roughly about 5 clicks of rear suspension, you want to you know, counter that with 1 click of ride height. So that's a quick maths for you in the setups. Now brakes, 100% brake pressure. That's no changes in that forever. Brake bias though, again in time trial, in qualifying, you can get away with lower brake bias like 53, 54, just to, you know, slide the car a bit, you know, just slide it a bit into corners. And as I'm getting invites for something, I'm keep forgetting. Anyway, thank you, big man. I'll join shortly. Yeah, in the actual race condition, you may want to go up to 55 or 56 even in turn 1. Otherwise you can run 55, 54. You're not really braking at full brake pressure all the time, so you can afford to lower the brake bias a little bit. Just make sure you're not trail braking too much into the corners with low brake bias, otherwise you're definitely going to lock up the rears. So leave it at 54, 55 should be universally good for this track. And then tire pressures. You can always start with minimum tire pressures if you're really struggling with tire temps around here. It is easier to manage the tire temps around here because there are pretty much 3 long straights where you can cool off the tires quite a bit. So a little bit of tire pressure will help you to keep a little bit of temperature in the car. So what I found worked for me was maximum of 1 psi on the front and about half psi on the rear. And mind you, the rears, it's quite easy to warm up because, you know, it's a rear driven car, and when the downforce builds up, the rear tires heats up more easily in these cars. So you want to make sure the fronts are also in the good temperature range. You can go 1 or 2 clicks lower if you feel like you need a little bit more grip in the corners. But if you feel like you know, the car is too snappy in some ways, you can always, you know, reduce the overall pressure. That's going to give you overall more grip, maybe a bit less responsive in the high speed when you lower the tire pressures. So there we go. Let's recap the setup. 30, 24 is the default wings sort of you want to go with. You can always go about 2 clicks lower for the downforce. If you want to go even lower, I'd say lowest you probably could go is 20 on the rear. Otherwise you really lose a lot of time in sector 1, and it's not really worth running that low of downforce in most cases. 55, 51 transmission. You can also run 55, 15 qualifying. Right, left geometry. 41, 5 on suspension, 1 anti-roll bars. 33, 39 ride height. You can even try 34, 39 ride height. It's okay. 155 brakes, 1 psi on the front, half psi on the rear, and that is a setup of Jeddah. So once again, if I forgot to mention this, the setup is also in the description if you want to take a look at it. Probably should have mentioned it earlier. But anyway, let's head into the track guide right now. And once again, for whoever is watching right now, thank you for the support as always. And now let's show you a quick track guide around Jeddah. How do you take this track? Which corners have some, you know, special tricks that you can actually use. Let's see. Now let's go with Well, you'll probably notice my lap is a bit rusty as well. You know, my inputs are a little bit wiggly after all the 2 weeks hiatus that I had. So that's probably easily 2 or 3 tenths in the lap if I actually get my sensors right. But yeah, let's head into the lap here, as you can see. Now, starting the lap for a qualifying, you probably want to stay more towards the right hand side as much as you can with DRS wide open, so that you can carry a lot more speed. It's a bit longer, right, on the around the outside. The straight is slightly curved. You can even stay on the normal racing line, it doesn't matter. So as long as you bring your car over to the right hand side for the start of the lap here into turn 1, you're going to be braking right at the 100-meter board, but slightly after that in qualifying. You can also use this white Marshall exit post on this right hand side as your reference to get ready to brake, right? And then as soon as you see the next braking marker, that's where you're gonna brake. If you brake at the blackboard, it's pretty much game over, you're too late. Maybe in qualifying you can try to do some funny stuff, you know, try to lock up the rears to slide the car in. Into turn 1 though, anyway, you want to take quite a bit of the curve, as you can see here. This is pretty much on the limit here. You want to mount the sausage curve as well. Even in the race, you want to mount it so that it opens up the next right-hander for you. So let's go back here. So take the left-hander in second or third gear, and then the next right-hander here. You can also do it in second gear in the race usually. And on the exit, you want to avoid that exit curve on the left hand side. In this year's game, it's beveled, so you know it's not painted anymore. There is it's a real curb over there, let's put it that way, right? So if you accelerate or even put one tire on it, it's actually going to unsettle the car and you're going to lose acceleration. So you want to practice this a little bit. As you can see, we are just about missing the curb all the time, and let the car run wide on the exit. Use all the exit that you have. Follow this white line. This is your track limit, so you're still within track limits here. And then, you know, slowly bring the car back to the left hand side as soon as you're done with the curb, and stick to the left and then bring it slowly over to the right hand side. You can go up to 7th gear here. I prefer to keep it in 6th even in qualifying. It doesn't lose you time or gain any time either if you shift up to 7th. And I brake right at the 50-meter mark here, just as I'm about to hit it. And then you want to trail brake into the corner down to 4th gear. And I think this is a little bit wobbly here. I think I had a double step on the steering, as you can see, because initially if I continue with this trajectory, I'm probably hitting the wall here. As you can see, I'm definitely hitting the wall here, but I had to, oh wow, I actually did hit the wall. Some game physics, funny physics there. Apparently it didn't clip me out of the way, but anyway, we managed to survive that. I won't be so lucky in a normal lobby, I suppose. And then on the exit, you can take the starting part of this red and white, not red and white, the green and white curve at the start of it, because it's flat, and then the second part of it, you know, around here it starts to get beveled. It's raised curve, so ideally you want to avoid this on the exit. But if you take this, you make sure you're not going full throttle just yet, and once you're past the curb, that's where you can safely go full throttle, and then stay tight here on the right hand side so that you can open up the next sequence of corners. This S section pretty much makes or breaks your sector 1. This is where majority of your lap time is made up anyway. So just follow these lines here, and then you go under the bridge, stay tight again, and then here again you're still flat at this point. Stay very tight to the left hand side. In the race, you're probably going to be lifting a little bit, maybe down to 5K if you need to. And then here as well, you're still flat, maybe a small lift just to get the car pointed in. You don't want to take any more than this for the curb. Just about this much is good enough, you know, just to let the car to rotate a little bit. And then on the exit, be careful of this very curb, because this is the curb that, you know, creates all the memes in Jeddah for this track. Right, so if you take this curb, it's going to send you straight. You're going to just ride the curb like a skateboard here. So you can touch it with one wheel, 2 wheels, but you don't want to go over it. So just, you know, the wheels on the curb, but you don't want to go any more than this. So next up is the right hander here. Again, you can choose to downshift to 5th. You don't need to brake in qualifying in this part. You just need to lift and then down to 5th if you need the front end to point into the corner. You have to be very tight here. I'm being a bit safe here again. There's probably half a tenth easily, or even a tenth if I nail this entry, and then I can get a better exit on the left, coming left-hander. So left-hander, you want to, if you can mount the curb a little bit. On the exit, you have to really push the limits here. This is as much as you could go on the curb without losing time, without you know, bottoming out on the curb. If you go any further to the right, it's game over. Now stay tight to the left hand side, and then down to the next bank hairpin here, end of sector 1. You want to brake right after the black board. In the race situation, in qualifying you can brake after the 50-meter board as well. Be careful, sometimes if you even just you know, just fly by the wall, just tap a little bit, just kiss it a little bit, it invalidates the lap time. Stupid things in game, but you know, you never know what happens. You can also use that exit, the exit lane, the orange mark exit lane on the left hand side as your brake marker, if that's more convenient. Since it's a left-hander coming up, it's a bit more easy to look that way. So as you pass that, brake down to 5th gear, and then maybe 4th gear if you want to carry a bit more, want the front to turn a bit more into the corner. And then on the exit, let the car run wide, pick up the throttle as soon as you can, right around here as well. I prefer not to touch that painted curb because it gets a little bit slippery sometimes, so I'll just prefer to keep all 4 wheels on the black stuff here. On the exit, let the car run wide as far as you can, as carrying as much speed as possible. So pretty much that entire banked hairpin you want to carry as much speed as possible. And then you can ride this curve as well. It's flat, you can go a bit more to the right, but you know, it doesn't matter, it doesn't lose you too much time either way. Now for the next left-hander here, just as the track straightens out, right around here you can see there's a little bend just before the 50-meter board. This is where you want to be braking. There's also a gap between the 2 Rolex boards here. That's where you can, on the right hand side, right, there's these 2 Rolex boards, so you can use that as your braking reference, maybe in between that or before that or after that, whichever you prefer. So you want to be taking this corner very slow in and very fast out. When I say slow in, you don't want to be slowing down to like a stopping speed, of course. You don't want to overslow either. So you have to find a good line, you know, start braking earlier and then start pushing more and more as you do your laps to find out where is the ideal braking spot for you. So throw the car into the corner here, as you can see, just almost again hitting the wall here. I think that's pretty close to it, but yeah, just a few millimeters away. On the exit, you can ride the curb as long as you keep your steering straight and straight enough, you know, not fully straight, but you can keep it straight enough that you don't lose traction, and let the car run wide again on the exit and slowly bring it back to the left hand side. So you want to be taking the shortest run from here onwards. That exit is pretty important as well because it sets up this entire DRS zone, the first of the 3 DRS zones that you're going to be facing, you know, in a normal lap here. So to the right, and then right around here, right after this curb on the right hand side ends, that's where your DRS line is. Stick to the left hand side and then just keep the shortest line, take the shortest line to the right hand side. And then for the next part here, you want to make sure you're almost in a straight line here when you're braking at the black box, and then down to 6th gear. I think this part I accidentally double shifted here to 5th, but it turned out to be good anyway, so I might actually use 5th gear here at some part. So you can actually use 5th gear in the race, but in qualifying I prefer to use 6th. So, and on the exit, just rev out the car, doesn't matter. And then up to 6, stay tight on the right, stay tight to this right hand side as well, and then stay tight to the left hand side here. As the curve starts, that's your DRS point. Stay tight all the way to the left hand side. That's going to give you a few more thousands in the lap time. Again, still keeping to the left hand side here. Now as you spot this black marker or that purple tent on the right hand side, whichever you prefer, start bringing back the car over to the right hand side really quickly to prepare the final corner. You can brake right after the 100-meter board. Somewhere around 75 meters where you want to brake. I use the white tent on the left hand side here. There's also the broadcast TV on the left hand side. That is my braking reference here. It's somewhere in between 50 to 60, 70 meters, you know, and there's plenty of lines that you can take in this corner in qualifying, in race as well. So Either way, the fastest way around the corner is for qualifying. You want to throw the car into the apex here on the entry. It's pretty daunting to do at first, but as you do it lap after lap, you'll gain the confidence to, throw it further and further into the apex. And then on the exit, start picking up throttle as soon as you can, and then DRS will be activated right as you are about to cross the bridge here, and stay tight to the left hand side for the shortest run to the finish line, and that will gain you a few thousands down to the line here to finish a lap around Jeddah. So there we go, and I hope you have a good time. And I'm pretty sure I'll be having a good time as well in a few days, or once all the cough is settled. Now we're fully on track once again to finish up the remaining tracks here. We have 5 more to go, I believe. We have Australia, we have, well, the dreaded Azerbaijan. We also have Imola, and then we have Portimao and Abu Dhabi. So 5 more tracks to go. Hope you enjoy this. It will all be up by the end of 16 December, because after that I'm taking another actual long break. So, all that done out of the way. Thank you once again, and I will see you in the next one. Take care everyone, stay safe, and goodbye.